no one wants or
Christ.
needs that at all.
If we could just be sans vultures, just the animal and the album, like for the rest of existence, like I'm good with that. I'm fine.
The animal is darkly majestic. You got
And necessary.
You got a problem with vultures. You got a problem with me. I suggest you let that one marinate.
Is that our second Letterkenny reference of the day? We've only been on for like 15 minutes.
Well, we do's what we can.
Allegedly. Speaking of what we can do.
It was a sick vulture, though.
Jesus Christ.
It would take at least two.
Putting those, it would take at least two, probably. But if you stop putting them on the tee, I won't be able to knock them out.
Listeners, I take full responsibility. The Zach of the group. We got Dan and Jay, of course. This is your Fairly KickAss crew, and we're going to be talking about March right after you get done with the music starting now.
Risky maneuver to take responsibility for the things that the two of us might say.
The unfortunate disclaimer that that is an ever-present constant.
Some people might take advantage of that as a reason to see what they could say.
Shh! Don't give him a heads up.
He already said it. He's stuck with it now.
Oh yeah.
So,
I mean, to be fair, we had the Christmas episode and the Sex Jams episode, so I don't think that I'm necessarily absolved of wrongdoing here in this particular arena.
Fair enough.
Hey, to be fair, we all had a problem with that Sex Jams episode, and we all did things that are the reason why no one knows what that we're talking about, because they've never heard the record that episode, pardon me.
I think the two of you had a solution, to be fair. It was a mighty fine solution.
Yes, we did have a solution.
Several.
Yes.
Several solutions.
A couple double solutions mixed in there.
One that I believe was 7 of them wrapped into one.
Yeah, there was definitely. And more importantly, we made one of them wrong, and it turned out they were far stronger solutions than they actually needed to be.
Yeah, that's how we roll.
There was also lemon as dicks.
Lemon as dicks.
You know what was also sort of lemon as dicks?
What's absolutely incredible.
No, that was the greatest segue in the history of ever. Please tell me, how was this month in music? Lemon as dicks.
Well, the sun was shining and the music was out, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself this month with all the records that came out, as much as I enjoyed our homemade lemon vodka.
It is good to know that you were rocking out with your rock out.
Exactly. No, it was a good month. Not the quantity of fantastic music that generally is accompanied by spring, but I would say that what came out is less well, aside from the things that I chose for my top 3, the stuff that I was listening to was far less dark than what I was listening to in February. It was far less like depressive. I am, however, me, and the stuff that I gravitated towards and put on my list is the dark stuff. So, foreshadowing. Would you agree with Zach that it was a good month for you, or were you struggling?
It was, I would say it was good. I definitely wasn't struggling at all to get through it. There was definitely some good stuff. There wasn't a lot of fantastic stuff that I came across, at least, but there was, I would say, definitely a middle of the road, good but not great sort of month.
Cool. All right. So usually when we have a good month, that means Dan suffered on our behalf. Is that true?
Yeah, this one isn't good. So I did want to ask real quick, because that also helps kind of how I'm going to do my thing a little later on. But I had a big list because I had 2 albums pretty much all chart. So did either of you listen to the Playboy Cardi joint, This Is Music?
No.
And did either of you listen to the Party Next Door and Drake joint, Some Sexy Songs for You, which took like a month to chart?
Yeah, I had listened to a couple of songs back in February, but no. Can't say I did.
Yeah, same. More than I wanted to, but about a song and a half I could get through before I just had to turn it off and walk away.
Okay, that takes care of then I'll just kind of cover that when we get there, and both of them, or at least the one, because I kind of meh. There were some interesting ideas on Playboy Cardi's record, but I don't know. It just some of them seem to just kind of be left on the table as opposed to getting fulfilled. Maybe that's just me, but for the most part, it was okay.
Okay,
it was fine. It was also stupid long because and it was a Drake record, so of course it was stupid long, but still not great over here. Let's put it that way.
gotcha.
Well, I think we can at least do a little greater than that, I think, to start off, Jay, if you wanted to
I think so too.
hit us with your number 3 of the month.
Yeah, I will preface this by saying I felt apparently extra pretentious this month, and as I was looking over what I wrote right now, I don't really want to read it, but as I don't have anything else, I'm gonna. So, sorry. My number 3 record is from a band that I've been a fan of for quite a while. I like the loud rock, as we're well documented here on the show. And I love the loud rock with complex female front vocals. And so Spirit Box is one of my favorite loud rock bands right now. And their new album, Tsunami Sea, dropped back at the beginning of March. And Tsunami Sea is not so much like a radical reinvention of Spirit Box as it is a crystallization. It's a honing of their vision into something that's simultaneously deeply intimate and like hugely cinematic. While much of their sonic palette feels familiar to longtime listeners, the refinement is pretty unmistakable. They're not a band that's attempting to abandon their foundations, but they're going to carve out some intricacy and emotional gravity into the genre they inhabit. And what emerges is this triumph of narrative craftsmanship and an album that redefines what emotional clarity can sound like in metal's often claustrophobic landscape. It's difficult to talk about the album without feeling a pretty strong sense of reverence, because I have really enjoyed it. There's something sacred stitched into it, particularly tracks like A Haven with Two Faces, which is a sprawling, aching tribute to Vancouver Island. That's their home. And also it's their longest song to date. And on it, they kind of allow themselves to fully surrender to their prog rock instincts, creates a space for the sensation of longing to unfurl slowly and without apology. And the lyrics throughout the whole record are some of their finest. Aching, poetic, precise. Lines such as, "My heart corrodes itself, a vessel I can't compel," from the song Ride the Wave. Or my personal favorite, "You hold your breath for someone I'll never be," in the title track, Tsunami Sea. It's a command of their emotional and, I don't know, just a strong command of the language. I'm going to skip a lot of what I wrote because I'm already talking too much. I would say the weirdest song on the record is probably Crystal Roses. It's pretty misaligned. There's like a lot of experimental, like electronica stuff that doesn't quite harmonize with the thematic depth of what's around it, but I like it. I like the jarring stuff. The whole album basically is a theme around a central metaphor, and that's basically it's water. All the connotations of drowning, rebirth, survival. But Courtney's voice, wrapped in that metaphor, just becomes a guide through all of the fear, all of the turmoil, all of the ache. And it doesn't just explore what it means to hit bottom. It suggests that survival is a form of rebellion. And that even as the tide pulls us under, there's a moment, deep end, where the ropes finally slip loose and we rise.
Courtney's voice is so great, isn't it?
I absolutely love her.
Jesus. Yeah, this was definitely an honorable mention. Very easily could have been in my top 3. Everything you said rings so true. And I'm glad that you got to start this off and I didn't just have to pull in an honorable mention and say, I really liked it. This was a good album. I enjoyed it. Because I didn't write nearly as much or nearly as eloquently on it as you did. But that's not to say it didn't deserve every single word, because it is just a fantastic album inside and out.
Yeah. Dig it. What are you bringing to the table for your number 3?
So for my number 3, which I have mentioned this band before, probably several times, and I've also mentioned how hard it is to really talk about this band in a vacuum. Because for one, I'm a huge fan, and that makes it difficult to, to not grade on a curve, so to speak, for music that they release. And also, every album that they've released to this point, save one, is a part of a larger universe. In fact, I believe this is the third distinct story arc within the universe. Like, that's how large of a storyline that we're talking about with Coheed and Cambria. But as tough as it is, I'm absolutely going to try to give it as honest an opinion as I can, because the father of make-believe, I think, is truly that good. Because I'm a music podcaster, I am required to tell you all that it's Act 3 of the Vaxa storyline. But again, that doesn't matter. That's not important, because what is important is the music, at least as far as this review is concerned. And musically, you have all the hallmarks, not of a good Coheed and Cambria album, but a good album altogether. You got fun guitar licks throughout. You have catchy hooks throughout. Great bridges, a la the song Searching for Tomorrow. Fantastic bridge. The title track is epic and sweeping, as you would expect from several songs in the discography. Blindside Sunny is loud and weird, as you would expect from several songs in the discography. You get a full-on orchestral piece to play you off at the end of the final track, So It Goes. Just beautiful stuff. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And all throughout, just the signature vocals from one Claudio Sanchez. More muted than typically, more subtle, but no less powerful and no less impactful to each of the tracks. I don't think this is their best work, to be perfectly honest. And a few of the tracks do come off as a bit samey. But it's at least a good same. It's a sort of meal that I don't mind eating a few times in a row. So, yeah, very much deserved, despite how much I love the band. Even if I'd never heard of them, I think I would have still put them in the same exact slot regardless.
Right on. I admittedly have never been a huge fan of Coheed. Like, the talent is present. It's just never, like, maybe I lost the thread of the storyline way too early to appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I didn't even give this one a listen. I think I listened to the first track and then, I don't know, pulled my car into the driveway and didn't go back.
No, it's understandable. It's definitely, I think all three of my top three are not for everyone. And I actually touch on that quite a bit in my number 2. But yeah, it lands for the folks that it lands for. I would implore everyone to give it a try, but it's a bit more polarizing than a lot of the other stuff that came out this month.
Yeah. Well, cool though. I mean, Coheed really does have like a rabid fan base, and it's nearly blasphemy to speak ill of them. It doesn't stop me. But no, they're such a talented band. It's just never been my style.
No, understandable. Well, speaking of bands and artists that are your style, what was your number 2?
Actually, funnily enough, is that a word?
It is now.
My number 2 record feels like it's more your style than it is mine. And that is because, here, I'll just launch into my pretense. So, crafting a divorce album in an age that is dominated by NDAs is no small feat. But if any contemporary songwriter possesses the linguistic dexterity and emotional insight to thread that particular needle, it's Jason Isbell. And on Foxes in the Snow, which is his first post-divorce project, Isbell bypasses the customary coordination with the 400, his seasoned backing band, opting instead for a minimalist acoustic approach that on this record is not just an aesthetic choice, but it's necessary for the material. The absence of Amanda Shires, his longtime collaborator, now former spouse, looms pretty large, creating a space that feels untethered and occasionally disarming in its honesty. There's certainly vulnerability inherent in making an acoustic album, especially that's one drawn from the chaos of his own personal upheaval. But Isbell's, whose guitar work is often overshadowed by his lyrical prowess, proves himself more than capable of carrying this weight alone. Without overdubs or percussive flair, his guitar becomes both a confessional and a compass, and the songs drift through grief, resentment, wistful longing, an occasional defiance, all rendered in Isbell's signature plain-spoken poetry. At times, the acoustic treatment elevates the material, stripping the songs down to their emotional marrow. And at others, one can't help but imagine how few of these tracks might soar with the dynamic sweep of a full band behind them. It would be too much. No contemporary Divorce album arrives in a vacuum. So after a few people departed from his worldview, this disillusion of his marriage, his new relationship with Art World ingenue Anna Wyant, and all of those biographical morsels inevitably seep into the listening experience. Foxes in the Snow is not a breakup album. This isn't a like Taylor Swift bashing of an ex. It's a document of transition. It's hushed tones and honest language, and it might not be his most immediately or widely appealing record, but it is a compelling one, very much deserving of its spot on my list.
It's always such a tough topic. It's, a tough topic to talk about, tough topic to certainly write an album revolving around. And yeah, I honestly had completely forgotten that they had separated. And it's one of those where like you hope that they can make it, just because I'm speaking about myself, but just because I love both of them as artists. They both seem like very genuine people, very good people. I don't know them from Adam. They might be, the worst humans on earth, but they at least seem like they are, good individuals. So I did not give this one a listen. I feel like I should have. I saw it on the list and just did not get a chance to go back to it. As much as I love Jason Isbell, I just didn't have the time, didn't have a chance to circle back. But knowing how vulnerable he can be in his songwriting and in his singing, knowing how much he puts on the table, I'm assuming that this was a very honest depiction of at least his perspective of the, of everything that happened.
Yeah, it is. And it's not like I made the comment that it's all sort of everything on my list was sort of depressing and whatever. And it's not all that way. I think my favorite track on the record is actually more of a higher note. And that would be Don't Be Tough. Lyrical content. Don't be tough until you have to. Take your heartbreak on the chin. Don't forget the shit you went through. Throw your caution to the wind.
I love that.
Yeah, it's uplifting. It's, you do wade through it on the other side.
It's a good lesson for a lot of us. Pretty much everyone has been through that or some version of that in their lives, and in many cases, multiple times. So it's a good reminder that, you'll get through it. I'll get through it. All of us will get through that.
And it comes with some good advice too. Like if you get feeling lonely, read out loud if you can read. Take a nap if you get sleepy, and if you're hungry, try to eat.
Things that seem
Good
basic,
advice.
but things that we tend to forget in the face of trauma, in the face of things that we're going through.
Anyway, so love the record.
If it wasn't on my post-show listen list before, it most certainly is now.
I think you'll love it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
What should be on my post-show listen list?
I don't think this. To be totally honest, I don't think my number 2. I'm very curious what you think, but I just don't feel like it's your type of album.
Okay.
Which is great. Like that's the beauty of this. Like we don't all love the same things. Listeners, you don't love the same things that we do. It'd be ridiculous to think that all of us had the same musical proclivities. But for my number 2 album, kind of a contrast, really, the exact opposite side of the spectrum to the loud rock of Spirit Box and others. I do think that there is something to be said about minimalism, but it's not positive in most cases, because I feel like a lot of times it's not necessarily that something is being deliberately withheld, although I'm sure that does happen too, but more so that something is missing, something is lacking. I wish that this album had more blah. I wish it was louder. I wish it was more bombastic, what have you. But I didn't get this feeling at all with my number 2 album, despite as minimalist as it truly is. Because for its wispiness and softness and gentleness, it just is exactly what it's supposed to be. And that album is Equus Asinus, the latest release from, I believe, Montreal's own Men I Trust. To do the old recommended if you like dealio, shout out RIYL. Do you enjoy the musings of the XX, specifically for how slow and quiet it all is? This is like several degrees slower and several degrees quieter. But it also strikes a perfect balance between the sparse instruments and the dreamy vocals of lead vocalist Emma Prue. To get an idea, listen to the track Paul's Theme, which to my ear is the most upbeat track on the album, which is kind of comical to say after listening to it and hearing it in my head. It's not at all what you would call an upbeat song. In the context of this album, it's the most upbeat song you're going to find. If that is too slow for you, then maybe this album is a pass. But if you don't mind meandering down the river as opposed to, getting there in a speedboat, not that there's anything wrong, speedboats are fucking rad, but if you'd rather just sit in an inner tube and kind of lazily float away, then this album is well worth your time. Speaking of that, the track Unlike Anything does have a lot of river imagery, and it is beautiful. It's one of my favorite tracks on the album. The Landkeeper is another fantastic track. Again, in context of this album, it's a bit darker. In context of anything else you might listen to, it's perfectly light and fine. But it is also a fantastic track. You're not going to find really any departure to the theme here. It's all going to be very airy, very wispy, very dreamy. And if that's your thing, then I think you will love it.
Cool. I did not listen to that one, so no comment. Sounds good.
Yeah, it's one of those that I'd be really curious what your vibe is to it. If it is something that you think is going to, because I know that both of us have such a wide range of things that we like and that we listen to on the regular. So I don't want to say that like, oh, you like, a lot of metal, so you won't like this. Like that's so myopic. Yeah. I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah, I have a feeling like I will. It's based on your description. It sounds like I will very much like it, but it probably wouldn't have made my top 3.
That makes sense. Well, what else did you like but not make your top 3, aka your honorable mentions of the month?
Quite a bit. So I'll go through it real quick. I narrowed it down to 7 while you were talking just now. For starters, let's go with. I'll do it in order of release. Actually, that's fun. Let's go with Hot Wax and their new album Hot Shock. Love those. That band. They put out some really cool like indie punk Riot Girl type stuff. It's really cool. I want to give a shout out to Lady Gaga for Mayhem sounding more like Lady Gaga than she has sounded in a long time. Not an amazing record, but it was good. Throwing Muses, perpetually on my lists. This one didn't quite make my list this time. It's Kristen Hirsch her voice can do pretty much no wrong. I would pick her out of a lineup any day of the week. It's interesting. It's a really cool voice, but the songs didn't hit me the way the last few records did. Japanese Breakfast for melancholy brunettes and sad women. Really beautiful album. Gorgeous melodies. Really simplistic music this time around. A lot of fun. A band called Old Mervs, who I had never heard before, with their self-titled album. They're a throwback to the 90s, man. A lot of fun. 90s style alt rock. Just a good time had by all. I wanted to give a shout out to Chloe Moriando and her album Oyster for just being the only glitch pop album that I listened to this month. It was solid, very solid stuff. Not something that I went back to often, but I did find myself drawn to it. And lastly, Lucy Dacus and her new album Forever Is a Feeling. Very sweet, very cool. She's amazing. Yeah, her voice is also just one of the best ones we've got right now, and proves once again that she doesn't need the rest of Boy Genius to be wonderful. She just is wonderful, and I'm lucky enough to have seen her perform, and I can picture her while she's singing these songs. So like, it's a great, I don't know. There's a lot of emotion, a lot of heartfelt stuff in her songs, including one where she did a duet with Hozier. It's a cool song. Not my favorite song on the album, but it's cool.
Yeah, the obviously we talked about the Spirit Box already. Japanese Breakfast was also on my honorable mentions list. I almost felt bad calling these songs because they're more soundscapes. You know what I mean? It's so layered. It's so beautiful. Great album. I'll quickly touch on a couple because there's one that I want to talk about a little bit more. I had already touched on the Jennie album, Ruby, Jennie from Blackpink.
Right.
There are a few misses on this album. I'm Looking at You Mantra. I know it's the top single. That song is absolute fucking trash. Come fight me. But there are also some bangers on this album too. Start a War, fantastic track. Handlebars, damn right, with Childish Gambino and Kali Uchis, both just fabulous tracks. So much more hits than misses. Don't think at all that I'm shitting on this album. It's great, but it's just not. There's a bit to be desired. Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco, surprisingly good.
Yeah.
The album is called I Said I Love You First. The first track that I saw on it, or that I listened to on it, Call Me When You Break Up, I think that's one of, if not the biggest single. Surprisingly solid. I Can't Get Enough, also a great song. Not going to win any awards for me, but for the fact that I thought that this album would be completely trash, I was pleasantly surprised. For an album that was completely trash, and one I want to talk about a little bit more, based on a true story.
Yeah.
Because Will, no, this ain't it. The Will we're talking about is Will Smith here. This is the tropey shit that you've heard a million times, where someone goes through some kind of scandal and then talks about it for the better part of 14 tracks for no reason. It's one of those where if you took their side on things before, you definitely don't now, based on principle of how dog shit the music is, because it is an atrocity. Not even the angelic voice of Tiana Taylor can save the song Hard Times, for example, nor can Russ or son Jaden on Work of Art. And then there's the abomination of You Looking for Me. And no one was looking for this song. It is so incredibly cringe. I wrote more. I'm not going to continue to badger all of you with this terrible album. If you really care, go listen to it. You will not be missing much if you don't, however.
Yeah. The thing that we want from a Will Smith record is completely missing from this record. There's no fun.
None at all.
No fun at all.
It's not even good at what it is, being a retribution record. Like,
no, it's not good at that either.
it misses in all phases.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to assume, Jay, that this is not your number one album that I just inadvertently spoiled.
Yeah, I'm going to go down a pretentious rabbit hole looking at...
So I guess we got to break the fourth wall, huh?
Yeah.
we as you heard, we just finished our number 3, number 2 albums of the month of March and our honorable mentions. Because of the magic of post, this part of the podcast actually coming to you quite some time after all of that transpired, because yours truly and producer Nikki just went through a little tornado warning action. It was luckily no damage, no impact. I don't even think there was a touchdown.
That's good.
But yeah, so Jay, with that small interlude out of the way, let us know what your number one look sounds like.
I'm going to apologize in advance for my write-up again. Feel free to, through the magic of the interweb, somehow punch me in the face for the way I wrote this. I'm not kidding. I just reread it, and I'm not changing it because I'm that kind of a douche, but here we go.
Good man.
No, I honestly, I don't even know what this first paragraph means. Here we go. My number one record for the month of March. Bob Mould will not have found himself short of grist for his ever-turning thematic mill in the run-up to Here We Go Crazy, his 15th solo foray. In an era that increasingly resembles a calamitous lurch toward Orwell's apocalyptic vision of a boot stamping on a human face forever, where empirical truth has become disarmingly malleable and the anchoring certainties of reality are being uprooted at an unprecedented pace, what we so breezily term protest music acquires renewed gravitas. Its relevance not merely heightened, but existentially imperative. It wouldn't be surprising if Mould balked at the label protest music. It's too restricting of a term, too reductive. His work has rarely been content with occupying a single lane. Rather, he's long distinguished himself as a sonic polymath, a veteran of the U.S. hardcore punk diaspora who has emerged as one of its most articulate, emotionally resonant voices. Mould's gift lies in his ability to limn the porous boundary between the personal and the political, forging songs that feel intimately autobiographical yet seem to carry the weight of collective human experience, even when skewering systemic homophobia, state-sanctioned climate denial, or the insidious neuroses of our tech-drenched lives, he deftly avoids the didactic, instead weaving narratives of moral clarity and emotional nuance. Please punch me in the face right now, by the way. Musically, Bob continues his quest. Every release is a palimpsest of past lives. It's never mind. Whether it be the amphetamine fury of Husker Du, the confessional delicacy of his other side project type stuff, or the melodic precision of Sugar, he refuses to settle into a retrospective pose. This is more of not a rehash of his earlier work, but an integration. It has some of that barbed wire intensity, as well as sort of a consolidation of all of his previous work. The apparent directness of the music acts as scaffolding for a deeper, more urgent exploration of what it means to resist despair in a time of unrelenting societal entropy. I hate me. I'm going to skip everything else that I wrote. I can't do it. I love this album for its intensity, its punk rock grandeur, as well as its sort of garage indie off-kilter flair. Particularly songs like Firm Mink Augers, which sort of has like off style energy, like OFF, the band, but it's slowed to a discomfiting crawl. It's haunted and hollowed out, a descent into the wintry madness that gives way to the stark acoustic melancholy of Lost or Stolen, which is a bleary-eyed elegy for those stumbling through addiction. Sharp Little Pieces contemplates the shattering of innocence, abruptly clearing the way for the album's final act, You Need to Shine. It's both an entreaty and an incantation, summoning light in the enveloping dark. Bob Mould refuses to stagnate. He builds upon his considerable legacy, not by preserving it in amber, but by reforging it again and again under the pressure of the present moment. Here We Go Crazy doesn't just reaffirm his place in the pantheon. It reminds us that the act of creation is in itself an act of resistance.
I'm going to say three things here, and I'm going to be very quick about them.
Please.
Because I don't want to I don't want to take too much of our time. Number one, another fourth wall break. Jay, I know you saw me laugh at a couple of points in this. One was because you laughed. The other one was more of a laughter of being thoroughly impressed to the point of giggles that someone was able to use gristmill metaphorically. It was a complimentary laugh.
Okay,
it wasn't what was this guy doing? Number two, I feel like, and I think the three of us talked about this particular writer recently, but I'm not 100% sure. But Tom Lay, formerly of Deadspin and now of The Defector and probably a bunch of other publications. One of the greatest compliments I could think to give someone is that it sounded very Lay-esque. Your workup of that. And as one of my favorite writers, and one of the writers I respect the most for his prose and for the way that he phrases things eloquently, but yet still cutting to the heart of the matter. Yeah, I couldn't think of a better compliment to heap upon what you just wrote and spoke.
Thank you. I do appreciate that you think that what I wrote was well written. It was far overworked for what we do here.
Maybe that's the new line. Maybe What we do here is now.
I do not want to set the bar there. Because here's the thing. I had almost an extra week to prep this that I don't normally have.
Right.
And if this is what happens when that occurs, I don't know how much I like it.
Well, I for one was a fan. I will say, jokes aside, I enjoyed that thoroughly. And number three, I feel like Bob Mould would also be very appreciative of the words that you said about it.
That much I would hope for, because that's what I was going for. This album, no joke, it's called Here We Go Crazy. I said that at the beginning, and then that sort of fell by the wayside. But honest to goodness, I listened to it on loop. It is a wonderfully produced record, beautifully written, and it's a gut punch. Yeah. It is simultaneously politically important, socially important, and sounds amazing. And that's
a rare combination.
Yeah, that's the rarity of it. I absolutely loved this album.
Because we have heard many, many politically important songs and albums that, the message is more important than the music. So I don't want to, stray away from that. But the music in a vacuum is not the best.
Right.
So the fact that this was both musically, sonically fantastic and also politically and socially fantastic, it's a rare combo.
Yeah. Did you by any chance listen to it? Have you heard it?
Regrettably, no.
Oh.
Regrettably, no. I feel like, especially in this day and age, and I could say that probably for many days and ages, but yeah, it sounds like it's very prescient, if that's the right word.
Yep, that is the right word.
Yes.
Good.
Got my own grist mill going back here.
I mean, obviously, like I put it at my number one slot, but even more so than you having missed out on the Jason Isbell record. This one, fuck, man.
It's so weird. Yeah. Like those two, just from your description, seem like they would very much be in my wheelhouse. And yet I don't know. I think I just went more the chill home cooking route overall. Yeah. I mean, like the home cooking with Coheed and Cambria, the chill route with Men I Trust. Chill is probably an overstatement for them. It's like glacial, which I say with love. But my number one is probably less chill than Men I Trust and less home cooking than Coheed and Cambria, but I didn't enjoy it any less. Obviously, it's my number one. I enjoyed it the most out of everything. I enjoyed it so much that I would be willing to say, and I know there's not like a lineal pop album championship that we can all hang our hat on, but if there was, and I feel like it'd be for a brief period, but I feel like this would be in the running, which is impressive considering the other great pop albums that we've had this year so far. Several that we've talked about, Eusexua from FKA Twigs, Hurry Up Tomorrow, of course, from The Weeknd, So Close to What from Tate McRae. I would probably think to maybe put it in that second tier, the tier right below the top, but it certainly was impactful enough to be discussed. Alter Ego from Lisa, probably in the same tier as So Close to What. But I would put Blood on the Silver Screen from Sasami right up there with all of them and feel pretty good about my chances of it coming out ahead. As I like to do sometimes. And Jay, I could never meet the pros that you just spoke upon us, so I'm not going to try. I'm going to let Sasami do it for me. This, if y'all are interested, is from Sasami's Spotify bio of all things and is a pretty good description of both artist and album. And there's more to it than what I'm going to say, but at least if you like what you see here, check it out when you're checking out the rest of Sasami's discography. She says, two Sasamis exist in harmony. First is Sasami Ashworth, the conservatory-trained classical French horn player, producer, and composer, an artist with a studious approach to craft. And then there is the all-caps Sasami, the fearless performer and protagonist of her 3 increasingly audacious albums. For Blood on the Silver Screen, these two sides fused for her most epic and realized music to date, the all-out Sasami pop record. You can tell that this was a culmination. You could tell that this was a long time coming, and you could tell that this was a labor of love between those two halves of Sasami, both coming together in a glorious pop casserole. The lyrics on point throughout, cutting in the right ways, soft in the right ways, always striking a really great balance. Production, never too much, but always enough. And that was thanks, of course, to Sasami herself with the production, as well as the producer that worked very closely with her on this album, Jen DeSilvio. The pair just made magic throughout this entire release in every single track, including Love with a Memory, which featured another pop artist who is very quickly coming up through the ranks in Claro. For the Weekend, not The Weeknd, that's a different guy, but For the Weekend, another just fantastic track. But I don't think there's a miss on this entire album. Yeah, it was an album that I didn't expect. I will admit that I was familiar with Sasami as an artist, but had not actually sat down to listen to much of her work. I will be correcting that in the very near future because this was fantastic. And I need more. I want more and I need more. It was super, super good.
Awesome. Yeah, that came out toward the beginning of the month too, right?
I think it was the first Friday, which is like the 8th or something.
Yeah, I did listen to it, and I looked up the track list just now to see, and because I'm terrible with song titles as it is, I really enjoyed. I think it was "Figure It Out," that one, and then there was some weirder stuff at points in the record. Was like "Nothing But a Sad Face On," which I really like. Was a really cool vocal, like different vocal, which I really like.
Yeah.
I guess I forgot about it. Maybe. It was the same day the Bob Mould record dropped. So like, honestly, like other stuff from that week took a backseat.
It's hard to get away from that sometimes. That one album that grabs you, like it's not anything against the other ones, but we say it every month. There are so many. It's a great problem to have.
I do remember liking it. And anytime that we can vehemently disagree with Dick Shorts, I'm in.
Oh, how bad was it?
They gave it a 6.8.
Not enough.
No,
not enough. The nerve.
The noive.
The noive. The gall of it all.
All right. Well, that kind of takes us out of our side of this. So we got to pitch it to Dan to figure out what was going on the charts at the same time.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, most of the charts were thanks to like 2 albums. And you had mentioned that you hadn't listened to either of them. So we'll get this one out of the way. Playboy Cardi's music. It's fine. Did all right. There's stuff that's not great. There's some stuff that's actually interesting. It was an interesting contrast because I listened to it back to back with Party Next Door and Drake's album. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. If you have the little bit of input that you guys have, I'd like to hear from. However, that doesn't mean there was not stuff worth listening to in March. And one of the things I believe, Zach, you were talking about Lisa earlier, and one of her singles did creep up there, and I wanted to make it an honorable mention.
Oh, wow.
Born Again with Doja Cat and Ray, because it was quite possibly the most fun song of the month. Big sound, addictive as hell, nice opener, what we hope will be a very competitive race for the song of the summer. Yes, I'm already going ahead and starting this. Yes, this one does count for me. It should definitely still be hanging around when it actually starts warming up, and it's got all of the necessary attributes to be considered one.
Nice.
It was probably half and half as far as like songs that were fun versus songs. I think there were a couple of ballads on the album. There were a couple that were a little bit more rap heavy, which I didn't hate. I thought she did a great job. But yeah, you throw Doja Cat and Ray on something, like it could be one of us and it's going to be a hit.
Yeah.
Truth.
But Lisa held her own, obviously.
And stylistically, honestly, you could just give the song to Ray.
Yep.
100%.
And it would have been great.
That's what I liked about it.
Right. I knew you would. That's another reason I wanted to bring it up. I knew I'd hit the touch points for both of you. It's rare that I can do that.
Got it in one. Well done. Yeah, great track.
I don't know if I'll be doing it though the rest of the way through. In fact, I guarantee I won't.
Okay. It's foreboding.
Right. So I'm going to start with number 3 and with some foreboding, because in about 5 minutes, I can guarantee that some of you are going to be ready to scream hypocrite at me, maybe louder than normal. But let me lay out my argument right now, and then we'll finish it later. If you take a sample of a song, say a chorus, and just drop it into your song, and you don't make any changes, you barely make any edits, you maybe throw on some filters, that's not a feature. That's lazy as Dick's production. When you take a well-known song, sample it as the beat and the instrumentation for yours, and then present a completely new song with a new story and a new meaning, that's something completely different. And that's what Doechii did for Anxiety. She managed to take Gautier and Kimbra's Somebody That I Used to Know and turn it from an external breakup song to an internal one. That internal voice battling with her anxiety and juxtaposition in her verses amps up the tension that we already associate with the instrumentation. That's sort of the thing that works for that song, is that the instrumentation kind of builds into the awkwardness of the conversation between the exes. But then Doechii's vocals just go Super Saiyan in the bridge and chorus. I am almost amused by the amount of pushback, though, that this song has gotten. Fueling bitching about how no one makes anything these days. It's just lazy rapping over old beats. To which I can say, y'all should never put your favorite song into whosampled.com. Seriously. Blow your whole damn paradigm. But regardless here, a very interesting piece, another very interesting piece from a very interesting artist.
I think that the fact that Doechii is so talented helps this a lot, because I feel like there are a great many artists that would do this exact thing and I would be very dismissive of it, to be completely honest.
That though does sort of play into the argument that I had started there, is that it's be very easy to do something like this and actually do it the lazy way and not do a whole lot with the song and then turn it into just a pile of blah.
But no, the way that the song is layered, the way that it's put together lyrically, it needs somebody that used to know sample untouched. If it was just a sample, if it was chopped and screwed in some way, I would posit that it's not as good of a song. And it's not often that I would say that, but I fully believe that.
I think I agree, actually. I think I agree that because it's left alone, it's in its original form, you have the advantage of taking, like I said, the tension that comes from that we already associate with that song and transferring it over, but doing it now into a different meaning, telling a different story with it.
Yeah, no arguments for me. That's a wonderful track.
Yeah, absolutely kills it. As she has pretty much everything that she has laid her hands on to date.
Absolutely. We move up, and I feel like I say this that anytime there's a country song that I like, but there's a country song that I like, and it made it up to the top of this month's list. I don't know whether that means better stuff is finally making the charts. Yes, we know you've got another 97 song record on the way, Mr. Fake Walkout Wallen. Or that Zach Top can thank Drake, Party, and Playboy for having their mostly meh albums hog up 2 weeks of collectively on the chart and giving him a bit of a boost. Either way, Zach Top's I Never Lie is number 2 this month. And it tells a familiar story, but in a new way. If Go West was an 80s country band, King of Wishful Thinking would sound like I Never Lie. That is literally the concept of the song. It's a post-breakup track where our protagonist is trying to sound happy and upbeat for himself after seeing his ex, pretending that he's moved on the same way she has. The whole concept is a list of ways he's not being affected, topped off with, I Never Lie. It's all tongue-in-cheek. It's almost its own. It's a trope of its own. I would say that I still miss you, but I never lie. I'll tell myself I'm over you because I'm the king of wishful thinking. I just like it. It falls into that hole for me. Am I too attached to the 90s classic that any attempts to ape it are well put together speak to me? Maybe. Do I need to ask many questions about myself in regards to my past relationships? Sure, but that's not a new concept here. What is how Top made this work in the classic country structure. We were reworking a tried and true songwriting concept and making himself a new hit that definitely does not sound like pop country. It is full on.
Just looking at the lyrics, if you read these lyrics and try to kind of intersperse them with the King of Wishful Thinking song, it's pretty much the same song. Yeah, there's zero argument here. And I also unironically adore that song. I heard this on XM radio last week or the week before. And yeah, it definitely was one that struck my ear a little bit more than the usual bro country drivel that still dominates the country music airwaves to this day. I don't know why, but yeah, this was a breath of fresh air.
I don't know it, but I looked at the lyrics. Seems fine. I'd give it a shot.
Well, like I said, just the fact that it's very heavily like what you consider classic country or closer to probably what you think of country in the 80s. Okay. Instrumentation wise.
I can dig that.
Puts it head and shoulders above other things.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But that was 2.
Oh, no.
You know what that means. It's the thing that keeps me relevant here,
It's the best thing on the show. Let's be real.
No, but it's it's the thing that if I'm not yelling about something and if I'm not complaining about someone's lack of the use of a DAW, it's not any good. I don't have a production joke this time.
So you had to squeeze one in? You shoehorned that in before?
No. I don't. I legit don't have. I don't think I have one.
You just made one. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I see. I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. Snoogans. Remember how I said, though, that like 2/3 of this month's list was 2 records and one of them was the Drake Party Next Door joint, Some Sexy Songs for You? So I was very wary coming into the record, and it pissed me off to no end. Not because it was so bad that I had to hate it. It's very middling. And I think, Zach, that's kind of what you got from the little bit of it you could stand.
Yeah, 100%. It wasn't terrible, but it was I wanted more or less. I wanted it to be terrible or I wanted it to be fantastic. And it was just, it existed. It was very much like a Certified Lover Boy. It was just there.
Yes, there's stuff here and it's mostly pedestrian. The mixing is all over the place and it absolutely kills any momentum that the few good production ideas are trying to generate. This record pissed me off. And this is why I smiled about 5 minutes ago. Because I found myself having to agree with Dick Jorts.
Oh, unfortunate.
Who called this project a desperate album for one of rap's most notorious narcissists. And that is the perfect example. And no better, or the perfect way to put that, and no better example of that than the song that earns dishonorable mention, Give Me a Hug. Oh, I'm sorry, because we have to do everything on caps lock. Give me a hug! Which is basically Drake having a Stuart Smalley moment on a track that only half works so he can have one of his ham-fisted beat switches into a song. And unfortunately, I think that's the most rapping that Drake does on the record. He tries to go heavy R&B and go back to singing. His voice is not what it was before. There is no Marvin's Room kind of hiding as a gem in a pile of dog shit. I'd also like to call out Nokia, which actually had some interesting ideas on the beat, but is really just kind of lazy attempt at bringing back the club banger days. But everything just feels weak and thin. And let me call out the line, which gets repeated multiple times in what stands for a chorus. Is that your bestie? I'ma ice both of you like Gretzky.
That's not how hockey works. That's not how any of this works.
Not how hockey works at all. And Drake, you don't have the excuse. You're fucking Canadian. You know this.
You call yourself the sixth god. You better know a thing or two about the sport of hockey.
Right.
Yeah, it's embarrassing on so many levels. I need a trash can to kick.
Very nice.
Man.
Shout out, Coach.
Very nice. Austin Matthews just thinking of shaving his mustache just because of how bad that line is.
Oh. It's rough. It's rough.
It's fine. His audience is American. They don't know any better.
That's fair.
Yeah, I get it, but still.
I didn't know if you had other stuff from this album that you wanted to discuss. I just wanted to interject one thing to ask both of you. Do you have a guess at how many producers are listed on this album?
Oh, God.
Oh, no. I saw and Ed was just blown away because there's no way. Well, actually, maybe that's why it sounds kind of garbagey, is that there's literally a too many cooks thing. Let me put it at, let's go 17.
I have a different. Well, so before you said the too many cooks thing, I was going to say it's either 0 or like 40.
It feels like 0. It is like 40. It is a total of 43.
Wow.
Which is more than 2 producers per track if each track had unique producers per track.
Oh my God.
That's unconscionable, guys.
No, the output is what's unconscionable.
Fair.
It legitimately is.
You know what that tells me? Actually, it slaps of I did this on AI.
Oh, perhaps.
Oh, there's that.
Would not be surprised.
You know, you should not give Drake those kind of ideas, because if he discovers that he can actually fire the entire OVO sweatshop and not need to pay to have anybody else on that label for him, he will.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't realize we were going to pile on to the Drake's a Horrible Human bandwagon. I thought we were just shitting on his music, which is fine. I'm okay with either, by the way. But I really... if Drake's listening to this here podcast, and we know that All of Canada does. All 12 of them. They
Damn, man, I'm trying to get us. I'm trying to play us off as the good ones, and here you are, like shooting us in the foot.
All right, I'll give up. No, that's fine. No more. But I intentionally listened to 0 songs on this record, and accidentally listened to I don't know, because if I heard it, I forgot.
I had that problem a lot, actually.
Just a note to our Canadian audience: we love you.
Oh, yeah.
We adore you. Y'all are the best. Just like our audiences all over the country, or all over the world, I should say.
That wasn't a knock on Canada. I'm saying there's not enough of them. They need to adopt us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I was headed with that.
We 100%.
Yeah.
We are open for that.
Yeah.
My fandom could be. I mean, I could be a free agent for a hot minute.
Oh yeah, sign me up.
Totally.
Instantly.
Totally.
As far as OVO is concerned, at least get Division and Boy Wonder out of there. The rest, you can do whatever.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I don't have a segue to get back to your bottom of your list.
I don't either. But I'll just go back to the bottom of the list, and we'll actually kind of make this quicker than it needs to be, because we talked more about this album than I thought we were going to be. But at 32 was Party Next Door and Drake, Somebody Loves Me. And at 33 was Party Next Door and Drake, Mothballs. Because those are pretty much the same song.
Dead. Absolutely dead.
I need to gif that moment when you just leaned back and yelled mothballs at the top of your lungs.
Exquisite. I'm sure they already have a hype person on their crew, but they need you, is what they need. Oh,
just need somebody at the back to yell mothballs.
It would be the best thing of the whole set. Oh my god!
I don't have any more all caps song titles if that helps. As I was looking, those are pretty much those two are the same song, opposite subjects, but at the end of the day, it totally felt like 6 continuous ass dragging minutes on the playlist. All the things that we had just talked about the album, they all both apply here. These tracks aren't much better with the inclusion of Party, but interestingly enough, his solo tracks were better than all the ones with Drake. I know you didn't get that deep into it, and you're fine. You're not missing anything. But I truly cannot express how boring the vast majority of this album was. And because it's a Drake joint, it was nearly an hour and 15 minutes of audio quaalude. Jesus. By the time I finished my first listen through, and I had to listen more than once because I had to make sure I knew when songs stopped. But by the time I finished up, I felt like Jonah Hill in Wolf of Wall Street when he was face down in Leonardo DiCaprio's driveway.
Not a position you want to be in.
That's a mood.
No, it was not. No.
Yeah, the only good thing about this album, at least the bits I listened to, was the track Pimmy's Dilemma, and that was because not really a lot of Drake and not really a lot of Party.
I missed that one because that's one of the few that didn't chart. Or if it did, it was way down in the down past to the top 40.
I wouldn't doubt if it didn't chart just because it didn't really feature Drake or Party at all. It was more Pim, who I'm not really finding a lot about Pim or Pimmy as an artist. It sounded good. She sounded really nice on this track, but again, it's an outlier. It's one diamond in a 21 track rough.
Yeah, and it is rough.
Oof.
It is rough. Okay, but now on to the alleged hypocrisy. Okay, so like I said a bit ago, taking a song and just making something new from it, fine, can be creative. There's a very strong tradition of that. But when you just take a chunk of a song and just play it, and then add in a new verse, you've made lazy as hell pop. And what do you know? It's Pitbull. Mr. Worldwide away from a new idea. So It's My Life. Sorry. Now or Never from Pitbull and Bon Jovi. I'm not convinced those two men ever met. Like, they basically green screened Bon Jovi into the song, lifting the chorus of It's My Life directly in and just dropping it down. Like they literally just asked the Bon Jovi's label for the stems and promised them royalties and just, fuck it. I mean, it is a Pitbull song. So you've heard the same verse over the last 12 years. And also there's a verse here. That's it. Bon Jovi, Pitbull verse. Bon Jovi, Dance Beat Bon Jovi. It makes the David Guetta BB Rexa hit from a few years ago look like a Titanic reimagining of Blue because A, different singer, B, new song concept, and C, new words in the chorus, at least for the most part. If you manage to make that song look good, you know you've put out as a guaranteed piece of shit.
Oh, man. I've not heard that.
Yeah, you have, because you've heard
fair
at
enough.
some point over the last 25 years, It's My Life.
I haven't heard it with a dance beat. Well, or with the Miami Turd Machine screaming over top of it.
Why you do Mr. Worldwide like that, man? He has a family.
That's better than mine, definitely.
Listen, I don't think before I speak sometimes.
Hi. Welcome to the club. Can I offer you the back catalog available on any of your fine podcast providers? Anywhere you want to go for them, Spotify, Apple TV, nope, just iTunes, iHeartRadio. You'll all have that, and you'll see that we all suffer from the same verbal effluvia.
I really wish I had workshopped that name just a little bit more, because I feel like there's better ways we could have said it, or that I could have said that. But I'll, I'll stick
no
by
notes, 10 out of 10.
Perfect form. To your point about the green screening, Dan, I do want to take that a little bit farther and mention a performance that I found of this track at the Jones Beach Theater back in September of last year. And I'm not convinced that Bon Jovi's not a hologram on stage with Pitbull. I'm watching it closely. They're both doing things. They're both gesticulating. And they both have microphones and they're singing and like jumping, but they're not quite doing what you would expect two people in close proximity to do with each other. So yeah, quite possibly that this is your theory is even more correct than maybe it seemed on the surface.
Wow. It felt like for a while Pitbull was at least trying, and it doesn't feel like that anymore.
He's cashing his checks. He's coming in. He's phoning it in. And the more that I think about that and the more I say it out loud, I'm like, maybe I'm just jealous. Maybe I'm just envious that he can come on stage or go into a studio and put down whatever manure that comes out of his mouth and get huge cash from it. I want that.
I'm definitely envious of that, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, if he's got an entourage slot open, I'd be willing. Hit us up.
Oh yeah, I have no morals.
I have absolutely no scruples.
No scruples at all.
Do you know where I used to work?
Yes.
I do indeed. There are several places that would fall under the no scruples banner.
Oh yeah, good point. Hey, wait a minute.
For different and similar reasons.
I wonder. Was the lack of scruples the friends I made along the way, or?
I mean, that might be the tagline for this podcast, though, to be fair. So I'm throwing stones for my glass house now.
Speaking of things I probably should have workshopped for a couple more seconds. Let's land the plane, shall we?
Let's do that.
All right. Well, to break the fourth wall some more, this is usually where I run out of steam. Is probably should be pretty obvious here. And I get lazy myself in singing the praises of the best song of the month. And I fear that might be the case with the best charting single for March in another frequent flyer here at the top, Chappell Roan and her country pop venture, The Giver. Another one that's got the traditional country instrumentation, the pop country vibes, but it's all about lesbian intimacy, which won't get it played on many country stations. Look, if they couldn't handle Girl Crush, which is blatantly not about what you think it's about, there's no way they give Roan a chance. But that's fine, because she proves that she's more than capable of making full genre jumps here and still making great music. She sounds like she's been working in country for years, and there's a lot to the backstory here. But as I often say as I wrap up these top slot reviews, go listen for yourself. You'll see why I rated it so high. It's blatantly obvious. And then you can ponder how someone who clearly just hates country because he keeps lighting guys like Morgan Wallen up, and he never likes anything that sounds like our songs, keeps talking about things that sound like your songs.
Yeah.
Just a note for the listeners, that is country without the O. That is very deliberate. And that is very awesome.
Wait, were you looking at my script?
Oh, no.
No, I'm kidding.
Great minds think alike here on the Fairly KickAss podcast.
No, I saw that. I was like, oh, that's brilliant, man. Just brilliant. I love it.
Like, we just as a collective, we have certainly missed Chapel Roan for so long. As I think the Rise and Fall of the Midwest Pop Princess came out, was it 23? I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's just been so sudden and so recent and so meteoric, her rise. But none of that is to say it's undeserved. Every bit of it is absolutely deserved. These songs are fantastically written, fantastically crafted, fantastically delivered. The Giver is no exception. Yeah, one of the best country songs, with or without the O, that I've heard in years.
Yeah, solid tune. Solid artist. Everything. Let's see if she can keep that top spot month after month as we move forward. Hopefully, we got more singles coming.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
There should be. I think we're probably in that point in the album cycle that it should be coming soon, right?
I've not seen anything, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and I want to say this was at least first performed in November of last year on one of the late night shows. I don't think it released until March, until sometime either March or February.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
But yeah, I also have not heard of any upcoming albums, but hopefully, yeah, I'm with you, Jay. Hopefully soon. Like I can't get enough. And yeah, whatever the sophomore release is going to be is just going to be aces. I have no doubt.
Me either.
Good list this month, dude. For I think all three of us, like we were all in different areas, different artists, but I think like our tops were, no pun intended, shout out to Zach. But I think our tops were all very, very solid.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I'm here for it.
Should the listeners also be here for it?
Well, here
Oh, yeah.
or wherever they listen to podcasts, they could be here. They could be, at one of the myriad other places where podcasts exist. They can be there for that too.
That's a good. I guess I don't mean like here, like in one of our studios, like the Royal here, but wherever here is in their hearts.
Right.
That was way more deep than it needed to be. Just go listen to the podcast. That's all you need to do.
A little bit, but yeah.
Apple Music, YouTube, Spotify. You could probably put it on Apple TV. I wouldn't doubt it.
I mean, sure, we'll give it a shot.
Try it. Yeah, might be surprised.
Why not?
Social media, if y'all want to hit us up there.
Oh, fairlykickass.com too for all that stuff.
Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Fairly KickAss on all four of them will get you to us. You might notice that one of those social media accounts is missing because we are not posting on that one any longer, but the ones that we mentioned are very much open for business. So come check us out there. fairlykickass@gmail.com.
Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy. fairlykickass@gmail.com. Oh, God. Yeah. No. fairlykickass@gmail.com. If you also just want to send us an email with the words fuck this guy repeated over and over again, that would absolutely make our day. Even if we are that guy, like, yeah, agreed. No arguments here. And
I usually am. That's why I start the chant first.
Any parting words for the people before we adjourn, boys?
Oh, man. Do yourselves a favor and just listen to everything that we talked about today, because I have to go back and listen to most of it because I missed it the first time around.
Yo.
So we're all in the same boat, listeners and hosts adjacent.
We're even us, the three of us are fans of the podcast, or at least fans of the music of the podcast too. So,
oh yeah, we hate hearing those jackasses talk, but the music,
that's the worst.
Yeah.
Listen to music, love music, and let us know what you think of it. Okay, bye.
And boom goes the dynamite.